Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a video surrounding smart points and the common questions, misconceptions and all of the things that I get asked pretty much on a daily basis. I feel like I would address some of those things for you. For example, what are smart points? What are 0 point foods? Should I let my points roll over? What do I do with my points when I get to goal? All of those things. I get asked that quite regularly. So what I thought I would do is just sit down and address the common things I get asked when it comes to smart points. And I feel like the most common thing I get asked is, what are 0 point foods? So I've touched on this before and I mainly touched on it in the video of why you are not losing weight on Weight Watchers. I will link that above in case you haven't seen it. But basically, smart points are an allocated point allowance for every single person that is on a Weight Watchers or WW Wellness That Works plan. Everyone is different from their height to their weight to their activity level, so everyone is allocated a daily point allowance. You'll also notice that you also have a weekly points allowance. They are there to use if you should want to. Those are there to use if you fancy a treat or if you have an occasion coming up or if you just fancy a bit more dessert every day. Those are there for you to use, and I feel like a lot of people ask like, should I use them? What should I do? That kind of thing, and I'll get into more of that later. But generally you get allocated a daily point allowance, which for myself is 28 because I'm maintaining. When I was losing weight it was 23, which is the lowest I believe you can have throughout one day. And you get a weekly point allowance. So what are 0 point foods? Well, 0 point foods are points that come with a 0 point price tag. So if you eat chicken breast, for example, certain fishes or Greek fat yogurt or any kind of fruit and veg, it is considered a 0 point food, which means you can eat it until you are full and you do not have to take it off your point allowance for that day. I feel like, and I mentioned this in that video again, what people are forgetting is 0 point food does not mean 0 calories. Every single food you put into your body, apart from water, has a calorie value. So if you're stocking up on all this food and you're thinking, I can still eat my dailies, and then wondering why you're not losing weight, well that is the reason why, because you wouldn't normally have 5 eggs for breakfast, but because people think they are free, that's what they are doing, and therefore obviously you're not going to lose weight having 5 egg yolks in a day, because egg yolks used to be 2 points and now they are free. So it's all about thinking about what 0 point foods actually mean. And I've often said to people, like, if you're worried about what 0 point means, or if you're struggling to kind of into context, go and have a look at the food you're about to eat and go and have a look at the general calorie value for that food, and then you'll soon see that nothing is 0 calories, but it is classed as 0 point. And the reason that Weight Watchers have done that is they want you to make smarter choices. They want you to know like how to manage your food, how to manage your diet, how to manage what you're eating, how to eat a little bit of what you fancy but also not eat it in excess. It's about training the mind to make smarter choices. For example, you can eat 2 chicken breasts for the price of a muffin. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's about thinking about what you can have and making smarter choices, which then makes it more sustainable when you get to goal, if that makes sense. So it's trying to make it an all-encompassing thing and not just a quick fix for weight loss. And I feel like that, again, it's something that it takes a lot of thought, it takes your head getting around, but once you realise that 0 point does not mean 0 calories, it kind of opens up a whole new world for you and what you actually think about the foods that you're eating and how you manage things and how you meal plan and that kind of thing. So that is what 0 point foods are. 0 point foods are foods that come with a 0 point price tag but not a 0 point calorie value. So that is 0 points, which leads me on to my next thing of like, how do we determine how many smart points we get? I do get questions all the time. I'm this height, I'm this weight, how many points should I get? I don't know. Obviously, when I did my Weight Watchers journey, when I started, I input all of the information into the app and then I was generated a points value based on my height, based on my activity levels, my sex, my age, my weight, all of that things. All of these things get taken into consideration and then you're allocated the point value. So if it is something you're looking for, I would definitely recommend for you to go and get it from the official source, download the app, perhaps do a trial, see how you feel and get your point allowance for your dailies. I feel like everybody's weeklies are 28, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen a different value on weeklies. I feel like everybody gets 28 a week, which leads me on to my next point, which is, what are the weekly points and should we be consuming them? Absolutely consume them if you want to. You know, there's no fast hard rule saying you must consume them, and there's no rule saying you can leave them, like you should have to leave them to lose weight. I feel like, again, what Weight Watchers have tried to do is make it more realistic. They've tried to make it so if you want to go out with your mates and have a few cocktails, you can do, and you can still lose the weight. But again, it's not being afraid to roll your dailies over if necessary. Back in the day, Weight Watchers or Wellness That Works used to have a policy where you could not roll over points. I feel like that changed fairly recently. I'm not too sure when it 100% changed, but when I started back in June, I was still of the mindset that you couldn't roll points over until one day I simply forgot, and then they rolled over and I was like, oh right, okay. And then I checked it with the coach and then they confirmed everything for me. So because of the introduction of 0 point foods, because there's so much now that you can consume with a 0 point tag, there is no real need for you to have to consume all of your dailies. And again, I feel like that's a common misconception of why people haven't been losing weight, because they've been gorging on the 0 point foods and then thinking they have to consume all of their dailies. Whereas what Weight Watchers have tried to do is give you 0 point foods, so if need be, your dailies can roll over and give you a bit of a kitty if you need it. If you're having a bad day, if you're having a dining out experience, if you want to have a Big Mac, you know, whatever, those points are there for you to use and they shouldn't impact your loss too much. So that is what the weeklies are for. They are for you to use should you want to. I tend to use mine most of the time. I don't use them all. I feel like the most I'll use is like 18, and that's the most I've ever used. I always leave at least 10, but you know, that might be the difference between a £1 weight loss that week or a £2 weight loss. It just depends what I'm doing. So sometimes I consume them, sometimes I don't. I feel like it's just personal preference, but they are there for you to use. And the way the plan has been formulated is that even if you do consume all of those points, you should still lose weight. How much weight you lose, I'm not too sure, but you should lose some weight if you've tracked correctly and there's nothing going on in your body like water retention and that kind of thing, which is a whole other thing you have to think about. But generally, those points are there for you to consume should you want to. And that leads me on to my next point, which is, should I let my points roll over? I feel like I have touched on this, but yes, if you want to let points roll over, it's worth noting that you can only save into your weekly kitty 4 points a day. So ideally, you should be trying to use all of your dailies, but for 4 if you can. I'm not saying that if you have a 0 point day, you should eat because you should. What I'm saying is you can only roll over 4. So by all means, you know, eat what you want, but you can only roll 4 over. So if you're thinking one day, like, I'm gonna have literally 2 really lean days and get like an extra 40 points that week, that's not gonna happen. You can only roll over 4 points a day. So that is something to consider. I've done that before where I've had like a super lean week hoping that they'd all roll over and I could just have a mad weekend, but it doesn't work like that. And I feel like that's because, again, it's not a healthy way to go about things. It's not a sustainable way to go about things. You shouldn't binge eat or starve yourself so you can binge eat later. So it's all about, again, training the mind to make smarter and healthier choices that are going to benefit your body and, again, aid that loss that you want to see. So that is that point. And then it leads me on to the last section of this video, which I could definitely do a part 2. So if you do have any more questions in regards to points and that kind of thing, do let me know. But the last one I wanted to talk about is what happens to my points once I get to goal. So this is something that until I got to goal last year, I wasn't sure about. Like, I was like, what do I do? Okay, so if you've got to goal and you're happy with your weight, what you need to do is go to the weight settings or the food settings on your app, and it will have 2 little tabs on it. It will say weight loss and healthy habits or healthy habits on its own. And weight loss and healthy habits means that you stick to your dailies of whatever they are. But if you're just having healthy habits, which is what I am at the moment, your points will jump up. Mine have jumped from 23 to 28. I don't know if that's like a general thing for everybody, that's what happens, but I've gone from having 23 to 28 a day, which has enabled me to maintain. It's actually, I've still been losing most weeks if I'm completely honest, and again, it's just because I've been making smarter choices and letting things roll over. It's just because I've been eating better, my portion control is better, and again, it's just made it that much more sustainable for me. But all you need to do once you've got to goal is edit your food settings and then your points will go up. If you want to continue and push yourself that little bit further, you can keep your points going the same, but that is what happens to your smart points once you have reached goal. And for me, again, it's that whole thing of, I get questions of, you're at goal, why are you keeping pointing, why are you keeping going? And I keep stressing this every single time, but for me, Weight Watchers is not a diet. Wellness that works is something, it's a lifestyle plan, it's a lifestyle choice that has now just become part of my everyday life, and I just adore it. So for me personally, it doesn't make sense to stop something that's working so well for my body, it's working so well for my lifestyle. So now I just have my points as 28, healthy habits. Sometimes I might put on a pound, sometimes I might lose it. That's life, that's what happens, what time of month you are, PMS, all that kind of thing. But it's just a plan that I feel works for me. So I kind of feel like if it ain't broke, why fix it? So those are the common things that I get asked on a daily basis when it comes to points, smart pointing, food, 0 point food, rolling over, and all that kind of thing. If you do have any questions, comment with them down below. I'll make sure to get them answered. And if I don't know the answer, I have forums that I can go to, and I also have all of the access as an ambassador, so I can go and get the answers directly from the source for you guys. So do let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and of course if you are new, make sure you subscribe to see more from me when it comes to wellness that works, what I eat in a day, beauty, fashion, lifestyle, all of that jazz. It'd be so lovely to have you here. And also don't be a silent viewer, I want to hear from you, so make sure you comment down below. Let me know how long you guys have been watching for, because I asked on a recent video, I felt like it was the motivation one, you know, for you guys to get in touch and say hey, and so many people were telling me like, I've been here for years, I just thought I'd say hi, and it was so nice getting to know some of you guys. So do say hey. Thank you so much for watching, good luck on your journey, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.